Okay, good afternoon. I think we can start this first meeting of Jobs in Transition. I will just say a few words about this initiative. I am Enrica Cian and I'm a professor in environmental economics at Foscari. I'm coordinating the PhD program in Science and Management of Climate Change, and I'm also the Deputy Director of the Master on the same program, which have been coordinating for the first 4 editions. And indeed, this initiative is was born within the Master program in Science and Management of Climate Change. And the idea of this initiative was really to establish a dialogue with companies, institutions, organizations who are leading the energy transition, the ecological transition. And the idea is really to show our students from science management of climate change, but also from environmental humanities. And it's actually open to all the students who are embarking in interdisciplinary educational programs, what are actually the job opportunities related to sustainability and related to climate change. So this was the idea behind this initiative. And the idea is to meet once a month. So we will have another meeting in January. Today is the first one. And it's actually my great pleasure to host today ènostra, which is an energy cooperative. And today with us, we have Sara Gollessi, who is responsible for EU project at ènostra, and Chiara Brogi. She's in charge of renewable energy communities activation. I should also say this is an initiative also in collaboration with CMCC. And okay, so let me say a few words about the speaker. So Sara Gollessi, she actually graduated in environmental science at Bicocca, University of Milan. And she worked for some time in Regione Lombardia, already as first experience within the energy sector. She was working she was actually working with the implementation of the regional energy plan. Then she moved to APER, which is now known as Elettricità Futura, an Italian national association representing producers from renewable energy. And now she's working at ènostra as responsible for EU projects. Chiara Brogi, she graduated in political science and international relations at Catholic University, and then she obtained a master in international development studies at Wageningen University quite recently in 2020. And she started collaborating with ènostra within her master internship. And today she will talk about renewable energy communities. We will have 1 hour sharp. We have to close at 3:30. We will have first some presentation by the speaker for about, I would say, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then we have about 20 minutes for questions. You can ask questions by switching up your mic and speak up, or you can also type your question on the chat. Okay, then I would start this first meeting, and perhaps Sara and Chiara, you could first of all try to explain what is an energy cooperative and why these are important actors of the energy transition and of the ecological transition. Now I'll leave the floor to you. You should also be able to share your screen if you want to.
Okay, I'm trying. Good afternoon to everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start. Sorry. Okay.
Okay,
so,
perfect.
Start from the beginning. Yes. Okay, thanks, Enrica. Enrica already introduced us, so I will not add anything else about me and Chiara, but I will start directly presenting ènostra cooperative. And yes, what I will tell you and show you in this presentation is who is ènostra and which activities, of course, we carry out, and our story, a brief overview of our story. And then I will go directly to tell you what is a renewable energy cooperative and which is the role of energy citizens in the energy transition. So ènostra, this is the definition we give about our cooperative. It's a national energy cooperative. National means that we have members spread all over Italy and is based on the active participation and the direct involvement of our members that develops collective power plants and delivers renewable energy to its members. Let's a bit go into details. What we do exactly, we produce and sell renewable, ethical and sustainable energy. We added these two last words, ethical and sustainable, because indeed we adopted a sort of internal sustainability matrix to assess if the electricity we produce and we sell to our members is in line, is compliant with some more strict environmental, ethical and sustainable requirements, let's say. Then we also realize collective power plants. That means that our plants realized with the direct investments of our members. So we don't ask money, public funds or whatever, we directly ask money to our members to realize and install new power plants. We also provide services and solutions for energy savings, because we believe that the energy we save is, of course, the most sustainable one. And we also provide training to our members, but not only, also to schools, to other people. We realize and promote awareness campaigns, of course, and we also focus a lot on energy poverty issues. So we realize special training courses for vulnerable consumers. Overall, we can say that we aim at increasing anyway the renewable energy share in the national mix. And at last but not least, we support the activation of renewable energy communities, but Chiara will tell you more about this later on, so I will not stay on that. This is some figures to give you an idea. In the map, you can see where are our members. As I was saying, they are spread all over Italy, even if the majority of them is still in the north of Italy, because indeed ènostra was born from local initiatives in this area, in Piemonte, Lombardia, and Liguria. So the majority of members is still there, but we are, of course, going everywhere in Italy. And you can see also from these bars the rapidly increasing trend of our members. In the orange box, we have the provisional figure for 2021, but we are quite confident that in 2022-23 we will reach 10,000 members. That means that in less than 10 years we were able to really increase of 3 orders the number of members we have. And what is interesting is that we were able to see the same trend also in other European cooperatives. So it means that once you are able to start from a few members and you are able to start with the trend of increasing the members, then it is a sort of process that feeds itself. You can also see the electricity. There also an increase, a rapid increase in the overall electricity we sell to our customers that are our members indeed. And in this picture, you can see also the first and the last recently inaugurated wind power plant, collective wind power plant, which is near Gubbio. And we made a sort of inauguration. It was not a sunny day like in this picture, but it was very exciting experience to group all our members around these collective power plants to show them how we invest their money. A bit overview of our history. We can say that our story, our experience started somehow around 10 years ago. there were many grassroots movements, experiences, group of citizens that were activating, and thanks to the liberalization of the electricity market, and also thanks to the grant of subsidies from the governments to the production of renewable energy, these movements were able to build something new, some new entities that were the renewable energy cooperatives. There was a European project, this one, RESCOP 2020, where some already established cooperatives and some new rising groups worked together to exchange experiences and information. At the end of this project, ènostra was born, let's say, together also with the RESCOP EU, that is the Federation of European Federation of Renewable Energy Cooperatives, and also other citizen initiatives. What was missing here, it was the possibility to link the production and the sale of renewable electricity, because of course, to become a provider of electricity, you have to comply with a lot of legal, technical, security, economical requirements. So there is a sort of threshold of 5,000 members that you have to overcome to start this job. This is an overview of the key milestones of our experiences. I will not go step by step, but it is to show you that yes, our path was quite fast, and what happened, what was an important step of this process, is that in 2017 we merged with another cooperative called Energy, which was born as a cooperative of production of energy from renewables sources. So they joined members that invested in the realization of mainly PV plants, but they could not sell the energy, the electricity they produced to their members. So we created another cooperative, ènostra, in 2014, and when the process, when we were able, let's say, ènostra were able to join with Energy, we merged the two cooperatives into one entity that is able both to produce and to sell energy to its members. And yes, in 2021, as I was saying, we realized the first collective wind power plant. What is a RESCOP? So I come directly to the question that Enrica was asking. RESCOPs are energy cooperatives, and the key factor is the business model. It's not the target of the cooperative, but it's the model itself. And there are, of course, different experiences all over Europe, based also on the national regulation and policy framework, let's say. But of course, all these RESCOPs are joined by these 7 principles that were set by the international cooperative alliances. So they share somehow these principles, basic and relevant principles for all the cooperatives. So they are entities that are voluntary and open. It means that everyone can join the cooperative. The control of the cooperative is democratic, so basically one head, one vote, the principle that is at the base of the cooperative control. The members participate directly and own the asset of the cooperative itself. The cooperatives are autonomous and independent, and they should provide also education and training and information to their members. And they should, of course, cooperate with the other cooperatives. This is why we also joined the RESCOP EU, and we are members of the federation. So we collaborate also with other cooperatives all over Europe, both in European projects, but also in, for example, lobby activities. And the last is the concern for the community. Of course, the first target of a cooperative is to give benefits, to share benefits with its members, but not only, there is also the concern for the surrounding community. Yeah, this is some pictures of our members. We asked them to, let's say, put their faces to represent their experience within the cooperatives. What I was saying is that the cooperative target is, the cooperative target is not the profit. We are not, we are a for-profit entity, let's say. We are not an NGO or not for-profit, but the profit is not the first target. We have for sure to put forward the interest and the benefits of our members. And this is why we also gain the trust of our members. That is something extremely different from the aggressive commercial practices of our other energy provider, of course. So the trust means that our members are sure that they can, that we provide them 100% renewable energy supply, that we also can support them and them to implement energy efficiency measures. And for the members that decide to invest in the realization of the new power plants, renewable power plants, we can offer them a special flat tariff that is, compared to the current market prices, is very competitive. What we learn by employing this, employing this approach, that of course everything is difficult because we are a small entity compared to the other competitors on the market, but it is not impossible. That the process is more important than the outcomes. That means that we trust, we believe that the involvement of members is really the key factor of a cooperative, and we try to be as much consistent with our messages, decisions, and aims in order not to lose the trust of our members. Now let's do a quick step back. Of course, you've already learned, studied, heard a lot of about energy transition process, but I wanted to show you this scheme because I think that it really focuses on which are the levels where we see the process, the evolution, the transformation in the energy system. We have a lot of transformation, big transformations in at the very different level. At the production level, of course, we are going from few large power plants to many distributed power plants owned by citizens in many cases. We are also, and in the market, we have, you use it to have, at least in Italy, we use it to have a very big one, let's say, national entity. And now we are going to a decentralized system, let's say, model. Also the transmission level, the distribution level, also it's very different. We were used to have a top to bottom model, and now we are moving to a bottom up and top down model. So both the directions we have. And the last, the consumer side, which is the most important for us, of course. We are moving from passive consumers to active producer and consumer, let's say. Of course, you already heard about this new word that was created, prosumer, which is a mix of producer and consumer, but is not only, the focus is not only to merge production and consumption, but the real revolution is in the behavior change. We were used to think at an energy system where the generation follows consumption. That means that we start up new plants or stop them to follow the consumption levels. Now what we are trying to do is to teach people that renewable generation, we cannot control it, of course. The sun is during the day, we cannot have sun during the night. So we have to change our behavior and to teach people to modify their consumption to follow the generation. So it's a complete change in the paradigm of the energy system, let's say, energy scheme. I'm going to close this presentation with some figures. This was a research performed in 2016, so it's quite old, let's say. It probably needs some updates, but it was just to give you an idea of what we are talking about, the potential of energy cities in the European Union. This research tried to imagine a scenario in 2050, so it's not so near to us, but based on this study, on this research, the scenario for 2050 show us that the half of the European citizens will be able to produce their own electricity. So they will be not only consumer, but also producer. That they will be able to produce nearly the half of the electricity they need, which is also another interesting figure. That this electricity will not, these energy cities and owned initiatives will not be promoted only by households and co-ops, but also by small and medium enterprises, which is another interesting solution, business model, let's say. And then energy cities and energy cooperatives, energy communities will be able not only to produce renewable energy, but also to offer to the energy system some other services for sustainable mobility, of course, for storage of electricity, which is, of course, a key factor for the revolution of the system. And also they will be probably able to provide flexibility services. And this is my last slide. You can see here, it is referred to 2015. It's anyway, also quite old, let's say, but it was to show you this graph with the main companies on the market and on the electricity market. And you can see here that the citizen energy in Germany in 2016 was really in the middle of the bigger players on the market. So it is not, let's say, a Cinderella of the market, but they can really play an important role also in the energy system, also on the energy market. And yes, that was my last slide of this is our headquarters in Milan. It was a sort, I think, a general assembly with our members before the COVID, of course. But we hope we will be able to organize something like that again. And I leave you the floor, Chiara. I stop the sharing.
Thank you, Sara. I will also share my screen. So can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, Sara was fairly talking about energy citizens and how we can compete all together with bigger companies that sell energy and produce energy. And now I'm gonna talk about renewable energy communities, which is part of the big revolution that is happening around Europe on the energy system. Basically, everything started with the clean energy package that was approved by the European Commission in 2016. Basically, the package was a sort of box of EU directive that had three aims, basically. Putting energy efficiency at first. So that is the main objective of the new revolution. The second objective is that the European Union needs to be a leader a global leader in renewable energies. And the third point, which is also very important and very central to the theme, is the right to is the role of protagonists that are given to the consumers, which now are becoming prosumers, so consumers and producers. So the new rules, in fact, will make it easier for individuals to produce their own energy, to consume their own energy, to produce their own energy, to store it, to sell it, and to exchange it. So it's really something something new. As I was saying, the clean energy package is formed by different regulations that were approved at the EU level, and the two directives, the most important for us and for the renewable energy communities is the Electricity Directive and the Renewable Directive. In particular, the definition of renewable energy communities and collective self-consumption, which I will explain you in a moment, they were defined in the RED+ directive, so the Renewable Directive. What did it say, this directive? They set a target of 32% that we had to achieve of renewable energy in 2030. That later has been modified to 55%, so it was raised. The directive defined for the first time the renewable energy community and the collective self-consumption. It is recognized the right to self-produce, self-consume, store and sell energy, renewable energy, and also the right to exchange this energy produced by the power plant that are owned by a community within the community. But what is a renewable energy community? Maybe you have already heard about it. It's kind of similar to an energy cooperative, but the factor that is different is that the renewable energy community is local. So it's in a neighborhood, it's in a municipality, it's something smaller than an energy cooperative. Because as what Sara was saying before, for example, ènostra, it's not a renewable energy community because we are at the national level. We are not just on few territories. So a renewable energy community is a juridical subject. It's based on an open and voluntary participation. It's controlled by its member or shareholders, so people can actually invest in power plant and they can build their own community. And these members has to be in the proximity of the power plant that is owned by the community itself. Who can participate to this renewable energy community? Physical persons, small, medium enterprises, and local authorities. The main thing is that the energy community cannot pursue profit at first aim. So it has to deliver environmental, economic, and social benefit rather than profit. This is why, for example, for private enterprises, their participation cannot be their main commercial and industrial activity. So, for example, ènostra, because the cooperative sells energy to its members, cannot participate in an energy community. We can only activate and develop them. So we can help, for example, a municipality to set up an energy community. And then I will show you later an example of what we did in a small municipality in Sardinia. So what are the main objectives of this renewable energy community? Basically, the community in Italy, at least, but also in other states, let's say, we have an incentive that valorize the shared energy. So in this way, we can reduce energy bills, and in few cases, when there's an objective on this, we can also mitigate fuel poverty by giving more to vulnerable consumers, for example, or to allocate funds, allocate money for projects that can actually help in achieving this aim. Through a renewable energy community, we can also increase awareness of members on how to use energy, when to use energy. So maybe be conscious of how to administrate energy in the house. We can also, another objective is to activate collective action that can also go beyond energy. As also Sara was saying, the community can also be, the energy community can also be a pretext to go beyond energy and to set up other services to the community. I don't know, such as, because this incentive that has given to the community can be allocated also for projects on the territory, for example, to rebuild roads or to set up a guidance service to promote the energy efficiency investments, or a lot of other things. Another objective is to create replicable formats where citizens are the main players, and this is the most important thing in the new energy system that we are transition on, so that citizens and small and enterprises and local authority, everything is they are the main protagonists of the energy transition. And through a bottom-up approach, which is something new in the energy system, we can achieve actually a changing of system. Use energy as a pretext to engage citizens on commons and to revitalize local communities. What was I saying before? Make energy transition desirable and affordable, of course. Build mutual benefit relationships among stakeholders, as in this kind of projects, we usually, or at least it usually like few other stakeholders are involved in this project, such as local authorities, but also maybe a group of citizens that are active on a certain theme, or for example, the union of the mountain municipalities. So basically, it makes in common different objectives that can be achieved all together with different stakeholders. And last but not least, renewable energy communities can also be seen as a reliable mitigation strategy within the CEAPs. So this plan that, the sustainability plans that the municipality that has signed the Solidarity Pact has to be planned, let's say. Here, it's an image to make you understand where we were, because we basically, the passive consumer is something that we slowly get in a, like in the past, putting in the past, and what we will have in the future. So, as you can say, in the graph, we are going from an individual consumption and production to a collective production and consumption. And also we are going from consumption to generation, but also to management of those commons. So we are basically stepping out. We are going to have an integrated system in which energy, but also other services are going to deliver by the citizens for the citizens. Of course, with the help of some also new professional figures, of course. An example that I was saying before, So ènostra, as I was saying before, is activating developing renewable energy communities all around Italy, and we are now we have around 15 projects at the moment, and one of these is the Ussaramanna's project. Ussaramanna is a small municipality, 510 inhabitants, on the hills of Medio Campidano, which is in the south of Sardinia. And the municipality basically came to us with an objective to reduce the energy bills of the family and the small medium enterprises that would join their energy communities. And the main thing, let's say the thing that changed the business plan is that the municipality is invested on the realization of the power plant, the photovoltaic power plant in the municipality. So basically, the families and the small medium enterprise that joined, they will receive only the benefit, and they will not have to invest or give money to enter to the renewable energy communities. The communities, of course, have a power plant, a renewable power plant. In this case, we have 2 photovoltaic power plants, and we have about 70 kilowatt power. What did we do? Basically, the first phase was a feasibility study. We, of course, talked to the municipality. We understood with them the objective of the project. We identified the suitable areas where to realize the power plant. We defined the power of the photovoltaic, the possible numbers that could join in a first phase, and we defined a first business plan. So what are the benefits? What is the investment? And from that, we moved on to the second phase. So the most important phase also, because it's the information formation phase. We did an event of presentation of the project to all the citizens. You can understand that if you talk about these kind of things to some people that don't know anything about energy, it's a bit hard for them. But they were really open to listen and to understand what it's all about. And so we managed to collect around 130 interest manifestations, which I think it's quite a lot. And then we check whether these people who manifested their interests were on a specific medium low voltage transformation station, because this is, for Italy, it's the let's say limit where to develop one energy community. And so we saw by a request that we did to the DSO that 90 of these manifestations were able to actually enter the energy community. So we had our target. We went on constitute the juridical subject, so the energy community. On the 14th of July, we had the constituent assembly of the juridical subject, and 62 were the members who signed the act. So they officially entered the energy community. And now we realized that the photovoltaic power plant, and we are waiting to actually take the incentives, so to register the energy community on a portal to receive the incentive to then redistribute the money to its members. Two things that were really important in this project is that for the municipality, the renewable energy community is becoming a subject to consult for energetic and territory policy. So they will actually be formed. These people, they will be formed in this sense, and there will eventually be someone to actually consult for the municipality. And that the aim is also that the community will provide guidance service to the other citizens in the municipality, to encourage them to invest in energy efficiency, to promote, to activate a cooperative of communities that can give also other services beyond energy, as I was saying before. So we basically talked about energy cooperatives, renewable energy cooperatives, something that has been developed in the past, of course, but also it's something new that it's coming up in this decade. And of course, as every changes that we had, also the job, let's say, has to change and will renovate, let's say. So me and Sara, when we were thinking about what input can we give to these students about their future in this energy transition. I mean, I was a student 1 year ago, and I know exactly what you're going through. But I think thinking about everything, the work we are doing here in ènostra, we have a lot to study. We have a lot to redefine, let's say. The first thing I think is the training and the reskilling of the old professional profiles, but also a new professional profile. So we need to be educated on this, to have teachers that can actually give us this information. Also something new in this energy transition, talking about jobs, is a person who can raise awareness and engagement in the citizens, in the schools, vulnerable consumers, someone that can inform people about energy transition, energy in general, consumption, production, storage, everything. As we were saying, citizens are the main actor of this revolution, of this transition. We also need some new figure that can actually talk about territorial activation and that can manage the participation processes, which are really important in this context. Of course, for example, for renewable energy communities, we can see that we lack of some technical figures that can set up new business models, specifically on these energy communities, which are going to be really spread out in Italy, but also all around Europe. Someone that can support for the access to funds, so subsidies, loans, public funds, European funds, everything. Support for legal and regulatory compliance, someone that can actually interpret the laws and can steer the law also, for example, through lobby activities in the EU, national, local levels. Basically, all these, let's say, sector or frames that go into the same scheme is what we have here in ènostra. And what we can see based on our experience is that these new figures has to be something in common, that has to have like a holistic approach and multidisciplinary competencies, because everything is integrated, everything is all connected, social, environmental, and economic problems, but also benefits are integrated. So we need to have everything of a bit, let's say. And yes, so this is the same assembly Sara was talking about. And I'm finished. If you have some questions, of course.
Thank you, Sara and Chiara. Thank you very much. This was extremely interesting. I think it's really an example of a new kind of business that came about recently, thanks also to the role of environmental policies and climate policies that have been implemented at the EU level, but taking a very peculiar way, because I mean, renewable energy can come about in many different ways. So this was very useful. And if I think about the list that you put up in the last slide of kind of opportunity that could exist for students, it seems to me, and maybe you can just, I guess, confirm that it seems there are opportunity for students with very different backgrounds, because by reading them, I could recognize a profile from engineer, social science, hard science, but also humanities, legal studies. So it seems that it's really a field that's open to different disciplines.
Yes, of course. Yeah, we always work in teams, let's say, because I mean, I have an environmental scientific background, but we also need engineers. We need lawyers, at least in Italy. The policy framework, the regulatory framework are so complex that you really need someone that is an expert. But at the same time, also these lawyers need some inputs from the fields, from engineers, from sociologists and people that really work with the citizen, also to understand how to explain them, to make them really understand. Because if you don't understand, you can say, okay, I trust you, I give you my money and invest them in the renewable energy. But if you really are able to understand what is going on, you are able also to change your own behavior and to participate in a complete different level, at a complete different level. So you really need at least a bit of different disciplines to understand what is going on. And everyone can really play a role also on the economic side. For example, it is something that I'm not really expert on. So every time there is something regarding funds, economic aspects, also fiscal, it's another very complex. But I mean, also in other technical disciplines like software platforms, for example, to allow energy communities to work to really manage their system. You need completely new platforms, softwares, also meters in the houses to measure the energy that you produce, you consume, in which hour you produce and which hour you consume. So it's a completely different scheme, and a lot of these things does not exist at all at the moment. So we have also to use imagination to try to understand what we need on the market, which will be the new models, the new equipments that we need on the market. So very different sectors, topics mixed together.
Yeah, I agree with Sara, and I also think that I think is the changing of focus that we had in this energy transition from centric to decentralized. So the consumers are the protagonists because they are in charge of energy. It's their common good, and so we cannot only talk about economic and economic benefits, but we have to develop a social system. So we need also those figures that can actually interpret their needs I can actually communicate with them. Communication of scientific things, it's really difficult. I remember in my university, this was a big theme too, and they did courses and courses of communication to those really hard scientists that could interpret everything, but they couldn't express what they were doing. So it's useless basically, or at least it's very useful for them, among them, but not for who is going to listen to them. So I guess the problem is complex, and so the jobs and the opportunities are also complex, and it's various phased. I don't know how to say.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have some time, like 5 minutes to take some questions. So I would invite the students who are following to take this opportunity and ask any sort of question you might have, also regarding possible opportunities, or even any kind of question or curiosity you would like to.
You can also reach us by emails,
Of course.
if some questions come up in the following days, or on the social media, you can write something. You can also follow us on the social media, and yeah, it's a very popular theme now, energy cooperatives, but most of all energy communities. So if you really want to learn something, to try to understand better really there is a webinar every day, at least one. Some days there are two. So it's really and not topics. So there are really a lot of opportunities to learn something, and we promote, we suggest you really to try to understand what is this new process, these new entities, these new possibilities, because it can be useful for you both at professional levels and of course at personal level. I'm quite sure that in the coming 5 years, someone will come to you and say, why don't you join our energy community, and why we can offer you these services? Why don't you buy an electric car? You can sell you the energy, renewable energy, to recharge your car and so on. So it's something that you really need to understand both at professional and personal level. I'm doing the renovation building at my home, and they will also install me a recharging station in the box where I leave the car. So I will have to learn how to use it, and probably try to understand if I need to buy one, because it's an opportunity. They install me for free, so why don't you use this opportunity?
Yeah, thank you. And indeed, I think on the website of ènostra, you have all these webinars, and there are really, really a lot of them. So, okay, if you don't have a question now, if you don't want to take this opportunity, we can certainly follow up by email. I believe now most of the students are gathering information also about internship opportunities, and they need some time to elaborate them, and then probably we will get back in touch like around February, March, if any of them will be interested to collaborate. Okay, actually, okay, it's good to see we have a student from Environmental Humanities. Welcome, Francesca. Okay. Quite straight question.
You mean in ènostra? I understand, right? Okay. Yes. At the moment, I don't think we have any open position, but we look for people
quite often.
Like quite often. So if you follow us, you can also follow us on LinkedIn or or on Facebook, we usually post our job offer on our social media.
Yeah, if I can just follow up, I believe the way to start, if you're interested, Francesca, could also through an internship. I guess this is with a stage and internship. This is how many people probably also start the collaboration with ènostra.
Yeah, I have to say a lot of us actually started with an internship and then we followed up. So yeah, it could be.
So yes, Francesca, if you're
in touch,
interested,
if you have,
let me know, let us know, and I can put you in touch and we can investigate this.
Yeah.
As we were saying, we are also part of a network, a big network. So sometimes we receive also some offers, requests also from Rescope EU or other cooperatives. So if you are interested also in some international experiences, follow us or write us, and we can put in touch with some other entities, other cooperatives around Europe or other organizations that works in this field.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, that's true. I mean, our students, they do move around, so also opportunities around Europe are interesting. There is a question by Lucy. I mean, she has her hand raised. Lucy, you can switch on your mic and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't really have a question as such, but maybe a comment. I would like to thank you very much for this. I think I found it very interesting, and yeah, because really I think I'm going to look more into it and see how you guys are working, because like you said, it depends really with the policies around like the EU and Italy, and a lot of it's a complex thing. So I was just trying to relate with probably from where I come from, where people like rely on a national grid, which doesn't always give enough for people. And then I see that there's an opportunity for people to have communities where they can actually produce their own energy. I think I really found this quite interesting, and I'm going to follow and see how you're doing all this stuff, and it's amazing.
Thank you, Lucy.
Where are you from? Where are you from, Lucy?
I'm from Zimbabwe, in Southern Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were also a few examples in Africa of renewable energy communities. Now I can't remember where, of course. But yeah, if it comes to my mind, I will maybe send an email to Enrica that can share it with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course, we didn't mention it, but energy communities can be an opportunity also in places where the distribution network is not very reliable, because if you are able to self-produce your energy and also to self-distribute among the community members, it can be an opportunity also in remote areas where the connection to the grid is not stable or is not reliable anyway. So it's anyway an opportunity not only in EU countries, but also in other parts of the world where the distribution grid is not stable and reliable.
Yeah. For example, in Italy, for these renewable energy communities, we use actually the public grid, but there are a few cases where they also build a microgrid, a private microgrid. So they are actually autonomous on everything. Of course, in this case, you have to have a power plant, but also a storage system, because you are disconnected by the main grid. And so at night, you wouldn't have energy. But that's something possible, of course.
And storage, of course, become a key factor in that.
Yeah.
Just a quick comment from my side. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry I was late, but I got caught by my director of my department. So we are talking right now about a microgrid at the Vignole Island in the lagoon of Venice. So it's not something also that far from us. It's something that is happening here and there. So it's always interesting. I think it's an interesting way to talk about energy and different perspective on how energy is made, used, and locally consumed, especially, which is another interesting topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, islands are, of course, everywhere.
By definition, a community.
Of course. And also in Italy, there were some islands that I don't know if also now, but they were not connected to the national grid some years ago. And so they have to self-produce from fossil fuels, but they have to self-produce on the island directly the energy they needed. Now everything is quite interconnected, I think, but they can decide to replace the fossil fuels production with renewable energies, of course. Usually you have a lot of wind, for example, in the islands.
If I may, a quick question by my side, the importance of the storage when you discuss these microgrids. I mean, of course, you can be connected to the grid. So if you're connected to the grid, then the grid is the storage. But do you also consider the application of local storages or not? And if yes, when?
Yeah, in our projects at the moment, we are not considering storage because it's another cost and it will lower the economic benefits for the citizens. And we think that we can, if we use the public grid, we can actually cross the consumption and the production, and also through some platforms that can say to you, please consume in this time of the day. This is the right time to consume. This is not the time to consume. We can balance the demand and the response, and so in this way we balance the system. But in certain case, maybe when there's no enough energy that is produced, we can also think about it, a storage system. It's not that we didn't think about it, never, but we tried not to use it.
It's still quite expensive.
Yes.
I don't want to keep just the conversation, but I was interested in this part. Probably you mentioned that in the presentation and I missed it, sorry. You communicate with the user about the availability of energy. How do you do that?
Yeah.
At which level you interact with the user? Because that's a topic that interests me a lot.
Yeah, so at the moment, they are developing some platforms to respond to this need of talking to the consumers, basically, and to advise them when to use and when to produce. There are few software that can do this. We are now basically, we are doing a benchmarking on this, and we see that it's not enough developed at the moment, so it doesn't exist, basically.
Yeah.
At least in Italy, because I know that in other parts of Europe, it has been existed since a lot of time.
The issue that there is a technical issue before, that is the availability of data from the distributors. If you don't have smart meters, let's say, or new generations meter in your home that is able to communicate the data, you can develop a very smart platform with the app on your mobile, but if you don't have real-time data, it's useless.
And then there's also another problem, that even if you have this smart meter, sometimes it doesn't work, so they don't communicate the data to the consumer, so it's not doable. So you would need to install another hardware on the meter to,
because there are the three smart elements that you need. One is smart meter, one is smart house, and then a smart user. And usually the last two are missing. So there is just a smart meter.
Yes, it's also, we are at the previous phase.
Yeah.
So.
And it's always, I mean, it's very interesting, and we kept discussing for a long time about energy flexibility, energy flexible buildings, how to manage the flexibility that a building can provide in terms of energy consumption. But one thing is to evaluate what's the amount of flexibility that a building can provide you. Another thing is to trigger the flexibility. That's a completely different story, and we saw that is the biggest challenge so far.
Also to give an economic value to these flexibility services, which is something that is quite difficult to discuss with the distributors because they are not willing at the moment to push on these. So it's difficult to understand if they really need, where probably they don't need it everywhere. At least in Italy, the grid is distributed in very strange way, let's say. So sometimes you have a very distributed grid, sometimes you have just the transmission line, so it's quite different situation. Sometimes you don't need probably flexibility because you can already manage to modulate your production plants, but it's something that has to be developed and discussed, and we hope that also the regulation will push somehow these players on the market, distributors, to share the data and promote this process.
The key topic of the importance of data in this sector, which is at the base, really.
Yeah, we always talk about big data, Internet of Things, and whatever, but we don't have the data to work on. All these technology softwares are useless, of course.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think we can stop here. Thank you again for accepting our invitation, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Yeah, of course, we are
available.
Thank
you again. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.